Hello, it's Zoe, and welcome back to the Mischief Movement podcast, your weekly inspo for people looking for more hell yeah in their life. Consider this your one-way ticket out of midlife mediocrity towards fun and positive impact via playful disruption. Wouldn't you love to wake up and feel like a total badass? How about breaking some rules, throwing two fingers up to society and doing more of the things you love? I'm talking full-on freedom, adventure, and those meaningful connections I know you've been craving. Stop waiting for your amazing life to happen and go get it. I'll be picking the brains of some true game changers and mischief makers so I can share what I find and hopefully inspire you to shake things up, do more of what makes you feel alive, and boldly rebel against the ordinary. I've no idea what I'm doing, to be honest, but I've got a mission and I'm here to start a movement. It's going to be quite the adventure. Care to join me? Okay, here goes. We're kicking off the second series of the podcast with a true rebel who's the epitome of what this movement is about. She's having fun, shaking things up, disrupting the status quo, and making a real difference in the world. It's an episode full of female empowerment, pro-aging, and community spirit. We discuss the importance of creative stimulation and where to find it, the power of giving back, and how real human connection is so entwined in our idea of having a purpose. Please sit back and enjoy getting to know Fee O'Brien, co-founder of Girls Who Grind Coffee, and her cheeky dog, who also wanted to say, if you've ever dreamed of being a change maker, listen up, as I'm super excited to share with you one of my most favourite conversations yet.
I am super excited to have you. Fee, can I call you Fee?
Yes.
And would you like to start by telling us who you are and what is your main mischief?
Sure thing. Well, I'm Fee O'Brien, and I'm at the moment the co-founder of Girls Who Grind Coffee, which is a all-female coffee roastery, specialty coffee roastery, with the focus to basically bring women to the forefront. So we've purchased all of our coffees exclusively from female producers. Just trying to, make all of their voices heard and, create much more recognition and focus on women, essentially.
It's such an amazing thing that you're doing. And the way that you describe what you do is very much in terms of, this kind of rebellion. And
yes.
It just really spoke to me. I was like reading through and it's like, we're starting a rebellion. We're doing things differently. We're shaking things up. And I was telling a friend, I was like, I just want to be like them. How on earth did you come up with Girls Who Grind Coffee?
Well, it kind of really did come as a bit of epiphany, the actual concept for Girls Who Grind Coffee. Essentially, my background, I worked in advertising for a long time as a creative strategist or, account management and sort of dabbled in the creative side as well. I left that and opened up my own cafe back in Melbourne a long time ago now because I'm very old. But so that was a real eye-opener as a woman in business. And I was very young at the time as well, so only 23 with my own cafe. So I was up against it a little bit, and obviously also in advertising up against the quite chauvinistic, industry. And that comes across in most industries. It's not just advertising or coffee, obviously. And left that and then moved over to the UK and then met my business partner, Casey, who has always wanted to have her own coffee roastery. And while I was here, I had my child and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, managed some cafes in my local area. Was up against it again and was really felt pushed out of an industry that I really, really loved and enjoyed and wanted to get a lot out of and thought I had a lot to give to as well. So I was just sort of standing in the cafe washing some dishes, ironically, and thought to myself, I need to do something for women in coffee. I wanted to, originally it was just going to be like an event, like a big event for women in coffee, kind of like a coffee festival, but celebrating women in coffee, essentially. And then just sort of the name Girls Who Grind Coffee popped into my head. And then I was sitting at a cafe one day with my husband, and Casey walked past, and she sort of jumped in. She's like, "Hey, I had a dream, and you and I started this business, and it's going to be amazing, and we're going to do it." And so basically, we sat down and chatted, and I said, "Well, ironically, I had this idea for Girls Who Grow Coffee, which is for women in coffee, and she wanted to do a coffee roastery." So
this is too good.
so we just sort of put those two ideas of what we wanted to get out of life, essentially, and put them together and created Girls Who Grow Coffee. Yeah. So it kind of, it was a bit of an epiphany moment for both of us, really. But the two ideas of what we want to just gelled so well. And I'm naturally a very rebellious person. Like, I rebel against everything, including myself, to my own detriment sometimes. If someone says, read this book, watch this movie, I'm like, I just naturally just go, no, until I'm ready to do it. So it had to have an edge of rebellion about it, because I feel like women really do connect that feeling of rebellion and wanting to change things. We're change makers, all of us, in our own shape or form. So that had to be a massive part of the business and why we did it.
100%. Literally, my heart is like beating faster while you're telling me this, because I'm like, yes, I'm in. Like, you've got my vote already. Well, that saves me from having to ask you if you've always been a rebel, because by the sounds of it, you are.
Like I said, sometimes to my own detriment, but I can't change the way I am now. I'm 47 this year, so it's just, it is what it is now, and I'll never change, I'm sure.
It's what makes you who you are, and it's what makes, everything you do the way it is. So don't change it. So I can understand a bit more about Girls Who Grind Coffee. I know that you want to kind of help the producers have their voices heard. And am I right in thinking that some of your profits go back directly to those women?
Yeah, we kind of created a bit of an initiative called the Cheek to Cheek program, which is essentially because we utilize producers' names and sometimes photos and their story. It essentially puts, it adds value to our product. So we didn't want to just sort of take that and utilize that as our own. So we thought the best thing to do is actually for every sale, so for 10% of all sales of that particular coffee goes back to that producer directly into their pocket, essentially, directly into their bank account. And we make a very kind of big deal about it going back to the producer for them to do whatever they want to do with it. It's not to go into a program or, it literally can be spent on whatever they need to spend it on. And that was just a really important part for us to, the last thing we wanted to do was to be seen to be taken advantage of these incredible women and their stories and their names, etc. The best feeling was to basically give profit back to them on their products. So, yeah.
And I know that you've been traveling recently. Do you call them coffee plantations or coffee producers?
Producers.
Okay.
So, coffee farms, and they're the producers. Yeah. We did. Yeah. It was the first time I'd actually ever been to Origin. Casey, my business partner, had been to El Salvador before, and also to Colombia on separate trips a while ago now. But it was really important for us to, we'd created some really amazing relationships with so many of our producers, but Carla Boza, who we've been working with pretty much since the beginning, since we started, so we're going into almost 6 years now. And we just felt it was really important to go and visit the farm and see with our own eyes what it was like and have conversations. And obviously we're there on a bit of a buying trip as well, to taste the coffee, to see what we wanted to buy. But it was, for me personally, it was just such an eye-opening experience. Just, I got so much out of it, much more than I ever thought I would. Like, I knew it was going to be beautiful and incredible, and Carla and her family are absolutely the warmest, most generous people you ever meet. But for me, I don't know, I just got something, there was something in it that I got out of it that I just didn't expect, like another point of view on what it is to be a coffee producer in different areas. So we went to El Salvador, which was incredible. And then we also went to Honduras, which was also incredible, but very, very different in its own ways. So it was just amazing to see how different each coffee farm and each coffee producer's life and experience and situation is. So that for me was just, on a very personal level, outside of Girls Who Grow Coffee, it's still like kind of quite life-changing, really, to see other things on the other side of the world, essentially, and how, amazing and warm and incredible these people are doing what they're doing in sometimes very difficult circumstance, whether it's due to government or what have you. But it was just an amazing experience.
I'm really intrigued now. Can you put into words what that feeling was? What do you think it was that changed in you? Do you think it was just this appreciation of other women? Like,
definitely appreciation, definitely. But also a connection. It's really weird, but just a connection to, Carla's absolutely gorgeous, like such a beautiful person. I don't know, just to have that experience of spending time with her and her family. It just almost felt like another family on the other side of the world, if you know what I mean. And the fact that we've been working together for so long, I don't know, it was just the icing on the cake. We'd met Carla and her family a few times before, where they've come to London, and we've done coffee festivals with them and what have you, and they come to the roastery, which was amazing. But to actually spend time on the farm and actually see the plants in situ and smell the air and feel the heat and taste the food and all of those things, just it put like a whole another, as a creative especially, it put a whole other level on the product. So when we came back, the first thing we wanted to do was I wanted to create a new box for that particular coffee, just like, because I had a completely different visual on it, a different feeling about it. So, as a creative, it was incredibly important to feel those things rather than just getting, Casey would get the information from producers a lot of the time and rewrite that for me and then send it to me, and then I'll read through that, and then from that try and create the narrative, if you like, visually and copy-wise. Which is awesome, and it's worked really well for us up to date. But to have that extra experience as a creative, to go there and to feel it and to see it, just to get another whole perspective on everything was invaluable, really.
It sounds amazing. In terms of your packaging, because your packaging is pretty cool, is it your partner who designs the boxes?
So, basically Ben, my husband, is an illustrator. Yes. So he does all of the illustrations for me, and the design side of things. Essentially, I'm the head of brand at Girls Have Grown, so I create all of the the tone of voice and the brand direction. Essentially, creative direct the brand. And so, as I mentioned, Casey gives me the information of each individual coffee when we get it. I kind of decipher that into a bit more of a creative brief to then brief Ben, if you like, for the illustration side of things, and then we'll talk it through on, what I'm trying to get out of it color-wise, because a lot of the colors on the packaging derive from either just the feel of the coffee or the feel of the producer or the taste, obviously. Importantly, with coffee, a lot of color comes from taste profile. So, the illustrations are done by Ben, which is an amazing opportunity for us to have, because he he obviously gets me completely when it comes to creative and what I'm trying to. The thing is, a creative, like with me, I have so many ideas, in fact, too many ideas, and a very strong idea of what I want visually. But trying to get that onto paper, onto screen, no, it's never going to happen. I'm rubbish. I can't draw for anything. So it would be a very, very different visual if it was left to me. So we're really grateful that we've got Ben to do that with.
I was kind of aware of your brand, but it wasn't until I went to Camp VC last year and you were serving the coffee there that I really sort of thought, God, these women are doing something amazing. And I sort of, as soon as I got home, I'm like on the internet looking up your website to see exactly what you do. And that's when I realized that you were actually there serving me the coffee.
Yeah.
And I didn't even, afterwards I was like, my God, I was there, like actually being served my cappuccino by the founder of this one of the founders, of this amazing brand.
So, I know. We're very hands-on, and we
I was
always
going to say, you must be, because you were there in a tiny little
caravan.
Caravan, that's the word.
Tiny caravan. Yeah, Camp VC for us was incredible. Like, what a perfect event to be at for us brand-wise. Like, it was the perfect connection. Like, it sort of was the epitome of everything I'd always wanted for Girls Who Grind, as well, as far as the type of women that were there and, everything that everyone was doing there. It was just so inspiring and so, energizing as a woman to see other women and non-binary doing incredible things. I don't know, just everything was just so inspiring there. So yeah, we were, I wouldn't have had it any other way but to be there myself as well. But yeah, since we're only actually a really small team, or at least 2 years, it was just Casey and myself. So Casey would do the roasting, and I would do the branding and the packing of the actual coffee and sending it out. So for a long time it was just the two of us, and now we're a team of 5. So we have another roaster, Anna, we have our operations manager, Justina, and Grace, who helps with packing. We talk about growth all the time with our business and how we want to grow as a business. Obviously, to survive, you need to. But it's really difficult to pull back, I think, because it is such a passion project, not in the sense that it's, for us to have as like a bit of a folly. No, it's got to be a moneymaker for us because, we've got to support our families and pay the wages and pay our producers and all the rest of it. So it's important that we make money, but at the same time, it's really hard for us to work out how to grow without losing perspective on what we're doing. Yeah, I think we'd always want to go to these events and serve coffee and talk to women. I wouldn't have it any other way apart from being at an event like Camp VC and serving coffee and talking to everyone there, just for my own inspiration. And I got so much out of that event personally and for the business. It was just the ultimate place, really.
Are you going to be back there this time around?
We are, but possibly without coffee, weirdly. I know this sounds weird, but we might have a teepee there with the Girls Who Grind tent, where we'll do lots of workshops and talks, and more of a brand tent than a coffee tent this time, just because of, we're not really set up as a cafe, and for us to do that means we need to hire and then cover and design the caravan and all the rest of it. So, and it's even further up north in Wales this time, so so it might be even harder for us to get there with all of our kit, but we'll definitely be there as Girls Who Grind. We might have filter coffee and what have you, but probably not serving coffee to the masses this time.
I just wanted something to look forward to, because hopefully I'm going to be there myself. So just wanted to
good. I hope so.
See you again.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Brilliant. Where are you guys based then? Is it Somerset?
Yeah. So both of us live in Frome in Somerset, but the roastery is about 10 minutes out of Frome in a place called Upton Scudamore, which no one has ever heard of before.
But it's such an amazing name.
Yeah, I know. It's so southwest, isn't it? But if anyone asks me where it is, I can't even describe how to get there. It's on a working farm, so it's good. It is really good to be. Sometimes it's good to be out in the middle of nowhere, but at the same time, I think we're really missing having a roastery with a cafe in it. So we might consider, we are considering it, and I just do it now, of moving the roastery into Frome possibly, so we can have a roastery cafe. I mean, our dream is to have cafes, Girls Who Grind cafes everywhere, but we'd like to start with at least moving the roastery closer to where we live, so we can walk in and also have cafe as part of it, because where we are now, no one will ever come to see us.
Do you think you might open somewhere, one of the bigger cities like Bristol?
Yeah, definitely. I think it'd be perfect for Girls Who Grind, for Bristol, London, Melbourne, the States. I think we have really big dreams of what we want to do with conceptual cafes. So that would be incredible. But like Bristol being our closest city would be a perfect place to start. We had I did a little pop-up in a place called Glitch in Bristol a few years back now, pre-COVID. So that was really cool to see how I could take the brand outwards into a physical space. Obviously, we were a little bit limited because it was within someone else's space, but I really enjoyed that, and I can't wait to be able to do that properly and really create a really experiential cafe that is everything Girls Who Grind would ever want. So,
It feels like you do want to, and you are managing to unite the sort of creative experience that you bring from your previous career and really kind of put it through a different filter now. You've got excuse the pun, In this coffee environment, you're still able to kind of push your creativity. It's not just about creating a product that people buy, is it? It's about creating that experience. No. It's about communicating your vision. It's about being a change maker.
Definitely. I think for me, I need something like that within a business. I've worked, I've had like a few different businesses in the past, whether it's just creative. I did some textile design with Ben, and every time we've done something, and I've got 1,000,001 ideas floating around in my head, but every time I do something, it needs to have a purpose, and it needs to be a really good creative outlet. I think I just lose interest really quickly. Otherwise, I need to be able to, just express myself and express what I'm trying to get out there message-wise. And for Girls Who Grind, it was perfect because there were so many people that resonated with it. So we created a community pretty quickly when we launched, which was amazing. We launched at Festifil, which is Copperfield, Chris Halenga.
Yeah.
We launched at a Festifil event with our first coffee, was the first one that we ever brought out. So that was, again, amazing group of women that, I don't know, everyone just really got it straight away. And that was really exhilarating for me as a creative to sort of see that all those things that were floating around in my head were real, and that other people felt it as well. So, we try and be as creative as possible with Girls Who Grind, like in the messaging. And obviously we've got some very strong language T-shirts for some people. You either love them or you hate them. I think it was really important to really cut through as well. There was no point just creating another coffee brand. There's enough of them out there now for a coffee roastery. Like, it was really important to have a strong message, but also to do it in our way, not to try and follow suit or, mold into what the coffee industry was kind of looking for. I wanted it to actually be nothing like what the coffee industry had seen or were even asking for in a way. So that has, and I'm still hoping that that's coming across now. Going 6 years into it, it's, I'm still as excited about it creatively, but sometimes I don't know, it's hard to keep going, isn't it? It's hard to just sort of keep as creatively motivated on something when it's long term. So I'm hoping that hasn't sort of died off everyone else, even though I get bored of certain T-shirt designs or brand design or illustrations, but then that's just me, not necessarily everyone else.
It's series 2, and I'm excited to be back partnering with Polite Club again, a brand whose mission is to change the attitude towards vulnerability and to encourage more conversation around it in order to increase real human connection. The vehicle for these conversations is clothing, or connection clothing as it's become known. And connection is one of our core values. So to bring more people together and help you rebel against staying the same, Polite Club are offering a cheeky 10% discount when you use the code MISCHIEF at the checkout. Sustainable, organic and rebellious, of course, Polite Club also uses 50% of their profits to fund proactive suicide prevention in the form of coaching, support and awareness raising, which enables people to understand their emotions and express how they feel constructively. Become a vulnerable with us. For more info on the brand or to buy online, go to politeclub.co.uk or follow on Instagram at politeclubhq. Now, on with the show.
I think that is part and parcel of being a creative, though. I mean, like you said, if you are a creative person, you have to kind of live with this double-edged sword of constantly having a million ideas. You know that you're never going to be able to action all of them, and it's like, which ones am I going to go with? Which ones am I going to just kind of put on the back burner for a little while? But what you touched on there about feeling motivated, I know personally that I have gone through ebbs and flows of creativity, times when I literally just can't stop thinking about stuff, and other times when I'm just sat there with this kind of empty head going, why am I not getting the ideas? And I know why. It's because I'm trying to force them to come, and you can't.
Absolutely.
What do you do when if you do feel like that? How do you kind of encourage that creativity to come back, or push through that block if you get one?
Yeah, I do get creative block quite often, and I suppose it's not creative block. It's just that I get to a stage when I feel a little bit burnt out. But I burn myself out because I've constantly got ideas floating through my head for whether it's for Girls Who Grind or just new business ideas or whatever. It's just constantly going, and very rarely, sorry, do I let myself kind of just sit and rest with those. Like I sit down and watch telly, obviously, but my mind is still always going with ideas. Sometimes for me, it's just actually travel is a massive stimulator for me. So it doesn't have to be outside of the UK. It could just be going into Bristol. I always, and Ben sometimes hates me for it, but I always need to be finding something new. So when we go to a place, I can't just okay, we go to this cafe. I can't go back. Not that I can't go back there. I have some favorites, obviously. But when I go to a new place, I like to discover new places or new things. And with that, every time I'm like, oh my God, I could do this and this and this and this. And so my brain starts going again with new ideas that are inspired by that new location or new cafe or new clothing store, whatever it is. Like I'm constantly I need new stimulation all the time, which is, it can be exhausting for everyone else because I'm not a homebody. Like I really wish I was one of those people that could, put the day at home. I'm just going to light a candle. I'm going to put some incense on. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to read. I'm going to just chill, put some tunes on. I can do that for about half an hour. And then I start just driving myself insane. So I just need to keep my busy with seeing new things, because every time I just get such a a feeling in my chest, when I go to a new cafe or whatever, a new city, especially travel outside of the UK or whatever, is major inspo. But yeah, any kind of newness on my eyes just fills me with so much joy and inspiration that I know that if I'm having a bit of a block, I just need to go and find something new.
Well, that's funny because I had a would you rather question,
right,
which I was going to save till the end, but it feels appropriate to ask it now. Would you rather then give up coffee forever or never travel again?
Oh my God. This sounds so bad because obviously we have a coffee business, but I don't think I could give up travel. I just don't. I think I would be if I didn't travel, I'd be sitting here just so sad, just sipping a cup of coffee and not feeling any emotion anyway. So,
It was quite an evil question, sorry. As I was writing it, I was like, if somebody asked me, I just don't know what I would say. No. So luckily, I don't have to answer that question.
Lucky you didn't say wine, because then I'd be really stuck.
So where do you think you might take your rebellion next? Being a woman of many, many ideas, I'm sure you've got something up your sleeve. Where do you think?
Well, do you mean rebellion for Girls Who Grind, or just me personally rebellion?
Either or both. So we could start with Girls Who Grind.
Yeah, so for Girls Who Grind, a couple of years ago, I kind of started the whole coffee and rebellion thing. Not a couple of years ago, maybe a year ago now. I really wanted to push that element of it. But things like COVID and what have you got in the way, all sorts of things got in the way, finances, what have you. But I really want to get back into that this year and work with a lot more incredible women and non-binary, that basically we can elevate Girls Who Grind to other levels outside of coffee, using coffee as the fuel, obviously, as the connector, but taking it beyond the coffee industry and cafes and that kind of thing, essentially. So we are always looking for ambassadors and sponsoring people that are doing great things in whatever industry, whether it's sports or non-sport industries, that are doing amazing things in areas where they're generally pushed out of those areas or told that they shouldn't be in those areas. So, doing a lot more of that this year. And Camp VC, again, is the perfect culmination of all of those thoughts. So, I'm hoping this Camp VC will have some amazing speakers that will be incredibly inspiring for everybody there. So, just more of that. Me personally, I'm on this thing now where I I feel with turning 47, I can see 50 like flashing at me like some kind of horrific light at the end of the tunnel, just like telling me that I need to do things, as before time runs out, basically. But I understand that time's not running out, and I know that I'm only 50s, super young still for a lot of people. But I really want to explore ageism a little bit and open that conversation up a bit. We're at the Women of the World Festival on last weekend, which was amazing, and the women that are there were so inspiring. Just all sorts of conversations were had, really important conversations. There was this one woman there who was trying on some clothes, and basically she was 70, and so she was wearing a black outfit and put on this sort of black and white cardigan thing over the top, and she looked incredible. It was like, not a cardigan, like a silk kind of long coat thing. Looked incredible. And then I was thinking, I hope she buys that because she looks insane. But she said to the person that she was buying it from that she felt like it wasn't right for her because at 70 she felt invisible, and that it was way too colourful, because if she's not going to get noticed, what's the point of trying or putting anything on that would make her be noticed, if you know what I mean? It was like a bit of a double-edged sword there, but essentially that she felt so invisible. And it wasn't the first time over that 2-3 course day that we were there that we heard women saying the same kind of thing, all around sort of 60 plus, saying that they just felt invisible and that they didn't really see a point, that they weren't seen, not necessarily in a romantic way, but like they just weren't seen by the world anymore. And that was, I don't know, I just felt like it was so heartbreaking to hear women say that. And why did they feel that way? These women also looked incredible. They were so inspiring, like super creative women doing amazing things, but yet they still felt that they were invisible to the rest of the world, and purely just down to their age, and that I found that so, like I said, heartbreaking. So I want to do more with that going forward this year, and just exploring that as a topic of conversation, and seeing what we can do to alter why we feel like that. Why do I feel like that at 47, or get at 46, 47, that I'm heading towards like some steep downhill slope? It shouldn't feel like that at all, but for some reason it does, So having more of that conversation and doing more with that in a rebellion kind of sense, in a creative sense as well, because so many people, women and non-binary like really resonate with that conversation. So I think that's an exciting thing. I'm also wanting to do creatively. Ben and I are starting a little studio called, I haven't told anyone yet, but it's called Extra Dollop. So it's like it's a creative studio essentially, where we'll be doing all sorts of design projects, but also emptying out what's in here, which there is a lot of ideas, whether they're ideas that could come to something, or just like create fun creative stuff. And finding a place for that to put them out there. So I think I need to do that. It's a bit of a purge, and it's also a way of really exploring creativity in all kind of avenues. So that's also happening as well.
That sounds really exciting. And I think, when you are a creative, it doesn't always have to have the scope of being a business or being a side hustle. And this is what we talked about in the episode with Sarah. It's this idea that actually, if you can pursue your creativity without any agenda,
absolutely,
you just don't know where it's going to take you. You don't know what ideas are going to open up. And, on a personal level, you don't know how that's going to transform you and the way you show up.
Absolutely. Oh, gosh, yeah. Like that really, 100%. That's how I feel, like having a space. As soon as I knew that we were creating that space, the ideas just sort of all bubbled to the surface, and like I could feel like they were coming out and turning into something, whether it's a real business or not. It didn't really matter. It was more just that all the things I wanted to do for certain areas, it gave me the opportunity to do that. And, it's giving me the opportunity to do that, I should say. So, it's very fulfilling. Yeah.
It's funny also because when you were talking about ageism, I listened to a really interesting podcast. I wish I could remember who it was with. It might have been with Liz Earle. If I can come up with it, I'll insert it later into this podcast. But hey, I'm just butting in here from the future to let you know that the episode I was talking about was from the Liz Earle Wellbeing Show, episode 37, all about the power of queenagers, with the amazing Eleanor Mills, founder of the platform for midlife women called Noon. Give it a listen. Older women were saying that in actual fact, there's a massive market to support women sort of 45 plus, because a lot of the advertising agency has been very masculine. And the way women of a certain age have been portrayed or viewed in society, the market's really kind of only seeing women of a certain age as, we're selling you menopause products, and we're selling you older age care, skincare products. And there's a huge group of women, this has never happened before in society, who are, many of them single by their own choice, or childless by their own choice, have a phenomenal amount of disposable income and a huge will to just get out there and live.
Absolutely.
And yet they're not being sold to. They're almost sat there with their money going,
waiting.
We're waiting.
Someone give me something.
Give us something that's not just, here's something for your menopause, or here's something for your wrinkles, you know? And it really opened my eyes, because I hadn't, I just hadn't seen it that way before. But I was just reminded of that while you were talking, and the fact that there is this whole group, and, I'll be there soon enough as well. I'm 41. And for the first time in history, we have got this disposable income.
Absolutely.
It's just the rest of the world that has to catch up and say, oh, we see you. You are 50 or 60. We see you. You're still able to go on trips. You're still able to buy things for yourself. Here are some amazing products, or here are some of the amazing things that you could do.
Yeah, that's it. And that's, and I think so many, women 40 plus, let's say, also incredibly rebellious, and we want to experience things, but we don't want to be pigeonholed into, like you say, menopause, which yes, I'm going through that right now, and although I'm incredibly grateful for the amount of information that's out there at the moment, it feels like that's all we have left is, okay, so now you're this age, all you need to think about now is how you're going to deal with the menopause. And it's like, okay, that's fine. I really want the information, and yes, we should all be a lot more educated on what that looks like for us and how to deal with that. But like, what's beyond that? What can we look forward to? We need some kind of hope and some kind of, invigoration on what we can experience in life. And we're all ready for it. It's just a matter of having the opportunity to do that, or not to feel as though we shouldn't be doing that because we're over a certain age. So yeah, it's definitely something I really want to explore. And yeah, I love having those conversations as soon as I put something out on Instagram, especially. I put it out there a lot of the time because, again, it's those things that are floating around in my head and I need to get them out somewhere. And once I get them out there, I just realize how many of us are feeling the same way. And it's, a lot of the time, it's a lot of people that I would never consider felt like that. Some very, successful women at the top of their game, and yet they're still saying that they feel like this, that they don't feel seen, or they don't feel as though they're considered, as creative or as whatever as the younger version of them was. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting topic to start exploring.
I agree. And as you've got 5 years on me, you can go ahead and pave the way, start the rebellion, and as soon as I catch up, I'll be there with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can join the rebellion.
Are there any sort of books or brands or blogs or products that you find yourself recommending again and again?
To be honest, I like I said, I wish I was the type to sit and read books. I buy 1,000,001 books, inspiring books, and then they sit in a pile over there. I can see them looking at me. They sit in a pile with me thinking, oh yeah, even just the cover inspires me enough. So maybe that's enough right now. Like I said, I tend to go outwards rather than sit inwards and take things in. I like to go and explore myself personally. So No. That sounds like a bad answer. But
no, it doesn't,
no.
because essentially you are inspiring enough on your own, you see, and just by being in your company is enough.
Oh, no.
But if money were no limit, how would you spend your dream day then? Because, you've already said you're not the kind of person who's just going to kind of sit there and chill out for very long. So what would your dream day look like, do you think?
I think I would, I'd need to get on a plane. I'm originally from Melbourne, and I miss Melbourne so much, and I get so much inspiration from it. So I think I'd jump on a plane. I'd take Ben and Woody, my son, and a couple of mates, and I think we'd go to Melbourne, just travel around, go to some amazing cafes and restaurants, and exploring the many galleries that are there, and just soaking in the rays. I need sunshine as well, which is another reason why I feel pretty shit at the moment, because I don't do well with grey weather or rain, that's for sure. So yeah, just go and soak up some rays and take in all the cultural and multiculturalism of Melbourne. I strive off that as well. I really, love Melbourne for that. So yeah, a day in Melbourne doing all the cool stuff would be my perfect day, I think.
I've heard that Melbourne's a really creative city. I haven't been, but do you find it
is?
quite
It really
creative?
Is.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my cafe, when I first opened the cafe, was in support of street artists and local musicians, well, mostly Aussie hip hop. So we had a lot of art and sound always happening in around me. So yeah, it's a really creative city, and I think it lends people to be quite independently creative as well. So
I'm getting this sense of you as there's always something or some cause, somebody that you're kind of helping while you're doing what you're doing. I know you did talk at the beginning about purpose, but what are the things that truly matter to you when you're and essential to you when you're designing your life? Is it having this somebody to help or some kind of cause?
It's funny, like I've thought about this before, and someone's actually said that to me once before. I don't ever consider it that I'm helping or that I need a cause, but naturally I fall into that I fall into doing that. And even when I was working in advertising, I set up like a little side agency that was basically working with loads of independent sort of jewelry designers or what have you that wanted a brand, but a lot of the time those kind of creatives don't have the time nor the headspace to create their own sort of brand, their brand direction, I suppose, logos and what have you. So that was a big part of that as well. So yeah, there always seems to be that I'm wanting to have a purpose and a cause for everything that I do. I don't know why, I just really enjoy, I think it's also loving the underdog. I really want to see the people that people don't expect to succeed to bloody prove them wrong and succeed. Yeah. So I think that's 100%. A massive part of what I do. Yeah, now I'm getting emotional. I don't want to do that. But I just really want to see people succeed when everything's up against them, essentially.
Yeah, I can completely identify with that so much. And, I think that that's one of the reasons why I find what you do so inspiring. I have this vision of the Mischief movement being about pushing yourself through situations that are slightly uncomfortable in order to achieve a phenomenal life, not just a mediocre one, but doing things that really matter to you and really light you up. But at the same time, finding a way to give back and say to society, I'm not just going to accept this, I'm going to question it. I'm going to find a way of balancing what lights me up, my passions, with, making a living, but also finding a way to help that underdog. Because what is more fulfilling, really, than knowing that you are having that kind of positive impact on another human being? Like, to me, that's just everything. And so to have this conversation with you is so inspiring to me personally, because I feel like you just embody the whole idea of my podcast is just you and what you're doing. So,
that's so nice to hear.
No, but seriously, I mean it. So I'm really excited to see where your creative project goes and where these conversations about ageism go. And I'd love to have you back and have another conversation as well to see, you know, how things are going, because it's just so awesome. Interesting.
And I think, you know, surrounding yourself with other people that have the same purpose as you in that, as in, you know, wanting to make change, I think is so important. And I really struggle when I haven't got people like that around me at the time. Like Ben's very similar. He wants to make change wherever he can, and he's got such a positive focus with his illustration work. And yeah, I think it's so important for us to think that way. So we like to surround ourselves with other creatively minded people, but with the same ideals.
Yeah. Do you find that those people naturally kind of gravitate to you, or do you actually have to kind of go out and find them? Like, how easy is it for you? Because you've also got, you know, you've got this brand that is a change-making brand. Essentially, it's a change-making brand. It's standing up for people.
I think for me, I put things. That's what I started putting things out on Instagram with, and I'm quite sort of honest with my Instagram with what I say, even if it's even just in a comment or like, you know, a video of me speaking. Well, no, I've only started doing the videos of me speaking kind of fairly recently, but like I said, like it reaches out to so many people, and then you get this wave of other people coming back saying, yeah, that's exactly how and it's so, I don't know, soul fulfilling when you hear that you're not alone in how you think or what you're wanting out of life. Because I think, you know, as a creator, sometimes you are up in here a lot of the time, and it can be exhausting and it can feel quite alone. Even though you're a creative thinker, it can feel kind of lonely to think everything's up in my head, you know. But when you can have those open conversations, like I spoke to a lovely woman from an agency called Sol, SOL. So it's a women-led film company. Nikita, her name is, and she just reached out via Instagram to say, hey, I love what you're doing. I'd love to get some of your coffee. So I reached out to her and said, love what you're doing, looks amazing. And we went out for a coffee, and it was just, you know, when you just really resonate with someone, and we had like such a long conversation, like we'd known each other for ages, and we had so many of the same kind of ideals and what we were trying to achieve with very different businesses, but with the same purpose at the end of the day, to create visibility for women in whatever industry you're in. So like that, like you just sort of find those people because you're putting those things out. You've got to put yourself out there, essentially, I think. And I think by putting those, you know, speaking to camera a couple of times and saying how I felt about the world, or even just there's actually a lot of just how I feel within myself. Yeah, it was amazing how many people I kind of connected with just via that. And now we kind of converse, you know, have a chat quite often, whether it's just even in Instagram or direct messages or whatever. But it's nice to feel like you've got a bit of a community of like-minded people around you, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to ask you if you have any kind of advice for people who feel like you and I when it comes to being a change maker, because sometimes, well, where change is needed, it's obviously because there's some kind of issue. And I think what can happen is that you feel like everything is against you. What difference is one person going to make? I just wondered if you had any advice, if anybody's out there going, God, I've got an idea, or there's somebody I want to help, or there's something I want to do, but at the end of the day, it just feels hard. What difference is one person going to make?
Yeah, I mean, that in itself, when we first started, everyone told us that there's no way we'd be able to buy all of our coffee from female producers. It was just like a silly idea, and pat the ladies on the back and good luck, ladies, you know, I'm sure it'll be fine, but you won't be able to do that. And we were just like, even more reason to try and do it. And essentially, we just kind of, you just need to go and do it. And one voice can be so powerful. If you say it to the right audience, you'll be so surprised at how many people will, you know, join you on that journey and want to be part of it. You know, and at first you might start alone, but then like very quickly you'll have like a nice big team behind you of supporters who want to, you know, go out there and help you voice your opinion or make the change that you want to see happen. And, you know, I don't believe that, like, for me, it's always been like, if you, rather than complaining about something not being right, I'd rather just change it. So if I'm not making any kind of change, I can't sit there and complain that I'm not happy with this or I'm not happy with that. If I'm not physically doing, I mean, I say that I still haven't been to the gym in like 3 years, but besides physical attributes of me trying to like get fit, when it comes to making differences out there in the world, I think you just need to make any tiny change will cause a ripple effect, and it just will. If it's the right thing, it'll cause a ripple effect, and you'll have a group of followers wanting to help and support you in whatever way they can, and whatever that looks like. And again, surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded, don't have to have the same ideas as you, but like-minded in that they want to see change. You'll be so surprised at how that inspires you to sort of get up and do things as well. So you just have to do it, and like a whisper will turn into, a massive holler in no time once you just start that ripple effect.
I suppose I've already kind of covered where your big vision wants to go. Is there anything else that you want to kind of add?
There's so much talk within the coffee industry about, supporting women, working, we do this with women producers, et cetera, et cetera. And we've been a bit sort of mindful of the language we use. We don't want to ever come across like we say that we're supporting women, because, we're not supporting women. We're just working together to basically, create visibility for us all, not just for the producer side and nor just on our side. So I think the one thing that we wanted to do is just to ensure that we're utilizing the right language and have a lot more of those conversations direct with producers, and just to give fair representation of everyone involved in the coffee industry, or, from both sides, producers and from our roasting side. So that's something that we're really consciously working on at the moment. Casey especially is going to sort of do it like a bit of a case study, because she's doing a sustainability course. So a big thing for her was to ensure that, the language we use is what the producers felt comfortable with. And so that was a big thing that we're sort of delving into for our business. We're just about to launch a new website soon, which is exciting, but very stressful. I need to put all of the information into the back of house for that to be ready to be launched. But with that will be like an online magazine that I'm pretty excited about, because that will give a space. Obviously, there's social media, but that can be a bit of a black hole at the moment as well for business. But with the magazine side of things, we're going to be, I want to interview quite a few people that we work with, some of the amazing women that, from Camp BC, like Kath Shanks, who I absolutely adore. She's just incredible. Like, I don't know, just her. Have you met Kath?
I have, but not to really speak to. So I know who she is, and we will exchange highs, but I haven't had a conversation with her. And I'm beginning to think that maybe I should have a podcast conversation with her.
Yeah, like one of the, I don't know, she deals with a lot of health issues with epilepsy, but literally nothing in the world stops her from just going out there and grabbing life by the kahunas, essentially, and just does everything with full gusto. And she's so inspiring, and she's inspired me so many times with Girls Who Grind to just keep going, and especially with the rebellion side of things and Camp BC and all of that. So essentially I want to have some guest writers like Kath, like Joanne from Outcore, who's the women-led wine brand, and Nikita from Soul, and a few other people like that. So I'm really excited about having that as a platform then to speak about other women-led businesses doing their thing in their way, and, creating change however we can, essentially.
Amazing. I might have to do some name swapping with you later on, so that
absolutely. There's some amazing women there that you need to speak to. I think you'll absolutely love them.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much for sharing so much of yourself with me today. Where can people find you on social media then?
My social media is Phil O'Brien, so FILOBRIEN. Philo Brian. And Girls Who Grind Coffee is at Girls Who Grind Coffee.
Okay.
And girlswhogrindcoffee.com for the website.
Amazing. Thank you so much today. And I'm hopefully going to catch up with you at Camp VC this summer.
Yes, definitely. I want to see you there. Come on.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I hope you loved today's episode and it made you think differently, or perhaps nudged you into changing something in your life that's not working for you. I'd love to give you a shout out right here on the podcast too. So let me know what you think, what you'd like to hear more of, or how you've been inspired by what you've heard. Let's keep in touch over on Instagram at Mischief and Hyde, or sign up to my newsletter at zoegreenhalgh.com. If you're enjoying being part of the Mischief movement, please consider telling a friend or leaving me a review wherever you download your episodes, which will seriously help my mission to inspire and empower more people like us to choose mischief over mediocre. Ciao!